Good evening, everybody. Hopefully we are joining you live on the Creative Expressions page this lovely Monday evening for our Monday Night Natter at 7 p.m. Now, as always, can you please let me know if you can hear us and you can see us okay? As you know, we've had a few gremlins recently, haven't we? And it's always tricky to know if everything's working as it should be. So please, if you're first here to join us at 7 p.m. on Monday, let us know in the comments. If you are catching up with us after the event, then of course still say hello and let us know that you're joining us, because it is always lovely to see you, even if it's not quite as live as it could have been. We know that life gets in the way, and that's why we make sure that these are still here for you to catch up after the main event. You'll also find that we pop them up on our YouTube channel as well, because obviously now Facebook only holds on to their lives for 30 days, they're cheeky little monsters. So do not fear, you can always catch up on our YouTube channel after the event as well. I can see that lots of people are joining us. Good evening, Kim. Good evening, Gwen. Good evening, Kathleen. Good. I'm glad that Gwen can hear us loud and clear. I'm going to tell you the truth about something that you might find slightly amusing, because I found it funny. As many of you will know, we have been at a wedding this weekend. Our lovely Emma from the DT and our husband Jason, they renewed their wedding vows, and it was a really lovely weekend, actually. Really, really nice. But it did mean that we got to spend lots of time with Gwen too, which is always a joy, including Sunday morning when we sat in a very well-known fast food joint, huddled around a breakfast muffin.
Yeah.
Muffin?
And a coffee.
I had pancakes. They had muffins. Trying to work out why Gwen's sound keeps disappearing on her lives. And we think we've fixed it. So I'm glad to report that come Thursday, Gwen should be back right here at 7 p.m. to bring you a fresh live with fresh inspiration. And actually, even better than that, thinking about it, it'll be a sneaky peek of a brand new collection. So fingers crossed it works okay. But we've done some tests. There are more tests to come this week. But if you did miss out on last Thursdays, we're ever so sorry. But hopefully this week we'll be back up and running as we should be, fingers crossed. But trust us, from our side, we've done all the tests we can physically do. And it's so tricky because we do all of these things. And you might wonder, as somebody who knows very little about technology, we do a lot of tests behind the scenes. But just as we get to grips with what we're doing, things update, things change. It's like today on Facebook, there is a new little red live camera symbol appeared on my top bar of the browser. I have no idea why. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing or where it's come from. It's never been there for the last year and a half. And this is sometimes the battles we come up against. And if you hit these little blips while we're trying to fix them, I'm sorry, but trust us, we're as frustrated as you are, because we just can't always know what's going to change and when it's going to update and why it's going to happen. But we do try our best to bring you these things as best we can do. So, okay, let's have a little look. Who else has joined us while I've been waffling on about technology? Good evening, Hadrian's Hobbies. I hope you are well. Lovely to have you here. Hadrian's Hobbies, if you would like to, please pop a link in the description, along with all of our stockists. If you're here, pop some links in the comments and let us know where we can find the goodies we're going to be looking at this evening. Hadrian's Hobbies, I see some cards you tagged us in for your classes. They looked amazing. And I also see that you reckon in February you had some crafty concoctions classes coming up. I, for one, am rather excited to see what you get going on them. So please don't forget to tag us in those. Good evening, Alison. Good evening, May. Good evening, Sue. Good evening, Andrew. Andrew, it's nice to be able to be here. He's not normally here. It's lovely to have you here. Joanna, she is winning our heart. Good evening, boys. I always love that. Reminds me of my youth. But,
long time ago.
Good evening, old men. Old men. Good evening, Joyce. Good evening, Emma. Good evening, Charlene from sunny Calgary, Alberta. That's, of course, in Canada. To anyone who's reading the comments, lovely to have you with us. Good evening, Yvonne and Lynn and Pam. It is lovely to have you all here. Thank you very much for joining us. Tonight really is one of them nights where Gwen's stealing all of my thunder on Thursday. She's got all the new goodies to share with you. How rude, I know. So this evening, I and Pete, we are just here really to say hello, check in with you all, and hopefully answer some of your questions. So if you have any crafty questions that we can help answer, maybe you would like to know about a metallic ink pad, a mica mist, a gilding flake, a wax, an enchanted sprinkle, a micro granite paste. Honestly, the list is endless. Then just pop them in the comments and we'll do our very best to answer them for you. We of course have a couple of demos and we've got some fresh DD inspiration to take you through and a couple of other bits to fill the evening with. So do not fear if you have no questions, but if you do, pop them in the comments, and if Pete doesn't ignore you, he might read them out and we'll see if we can help. He does that from time to time. He can be a little bit rude. Shall we jump over and say good evening to him before I'm rude? And forget he's here, because he's quite quiet in the corner. Where's my little box gone? Oh, there you are. You're on a different screen today.
Any camera could happen tonight, couldn't
Any
it?
camera.
So, evening all. I always sound like a policeman.
Evening
Or
all.
evening all, one. Anyway, I'm not going to go in there. Are we all okay? Hope you're all good. Nice to be back in my little corner again. So, all good, all good. See what they've been up to.
Do you feel you've been out and about?
I do.
Got out of your corner?
It's been ages since I've been here. I don't know why.
I don't
It's
know
only
why.
a week, isn't it?
I don't know. Was we here last week? I feel we was here last week. We was here last week. We spoke about the sale.
We did.
So we was here.
Feels like forever.
It does
That's
feel
when
like
you take
forever.
me out for a night on the town.
We're coming off of Peter because he's got to that stage already where he's moaning about he don't get out. So we're just going to pretend that he's, you know, happy and can be over in the corner, and we're going to come back to me because you don't want to listen to him whinge, do you? Not when you can listen to me whinge. So not that we have anything to whinge about. And Pete does rightly so mention the sale that happened on Hobby Maker on Friday. If you haven't yet caught up with the shows, you might like to have a little look back at them. But I do know last time I counted, I popped on the website, we took 76 sale items to air, and I believe 50 of them were sold out, if I remember rightly. So there's not many left to go, but there is still some available. If you haven't seen the sale at all, you might wish to have a little look back and see if there's a couple of bargains you can catch it on, get your hands on. Also, do check with your stockists, because our stockists did have all of the same offers available to them for weeks leading up to our January sale, so they could have them in stock and ready at the same time. So do have a little look around our stockists, because you may well find some of them have got a little sale section or a little area that they're going to have them available for you, or maybe some cheeky bundles or offers of their own. So do have a little look at those. Okay, I thought we would start the evening off, if that's okay with you, of looking back at one of my favourite collections from last year. And I shouldn't say that because it's not technically mine, but it is one I absolutely adore. It, of course, is our Dies to Dot collection. Now I'm going to take you over to our map so you can see where we're going, and we're going to just bring in the items from that I'm going to actually start with this evening for our first demo. And we're going to look at these 3 items for the card we're going to create. We have got the Dies to Dot collection flowers. We've got the Dies to Dot collection dot panels, and we've got the Dies to Dot collection large swirls. Now, if you've not seen Dies to Dot and you're like, what is this? Why is he in love with this? How do I not know of this? Do not fear. I will tell you a little bit more about it. There have been 2 releases so far. By memory, I think there's 17 different dies in the collection, and each one of the dies, unless they're one of the cutouts, and we'll talk about those in a minute, there's 2 of those, but if it's not one of those, it's one of the main panels. What we're on about are these deboss areas on each die, and each petal, for instance, in this one, or each swirl within this one. As the die cuts, it will push down on your cardstock and it will deboss in these markings. Each one of those markings is either 3mm or 6mm. Hopefully you can quite clearly see the difference on our flowers here. And each marking is designed that you can go in and add an addition to it. Now these of course fit with 3mm pearls and gems, 6mm pearls and gems. You could of course use them with glitter glue to go in and infill them instead if you prefer. You can use our dotty stuff. Ooh, to the dotty stuff. We love the dotty stuff. This is our dotty stuff. If you've not seen this, it come out at the same time. It forms the perfect little dot that you can place on top of those recesses and then cover in gilding flakes, mica powders, glitters, enchanted sprinkles, whatever you may wish to add over the top of them, either when it's wet or dry, and you'll get varying results depending on the product you're adding over the top, but it will form a perfectly formed dome for you. Or you can use the 2 dies which cut out the dots. And we started off with our dot panels like you see here. And then in release 2, we went on and created our dotty circle. I forget the official name for this, but it's basically the same idea, but in a circular form with a separate outside edge. And the idea here is we want you to be able to cut dots to go over the top of the elements within the collection, whether they're the swirls, whether they're the flowers, whether they're the heart layerings, or the circle layerings, the square layerings, whatever they may be. We want you to have the right size dots to go over the top of these. So all of your coloured cardstock, all of your fancy backgrounds, all of your mirror cards, anything like that, you can cut them, you can place them over the tops of those recessed dots. But we didn't just want to give them to you in a boring dot form. We wanted to bring them to you in a way that you could use the positive and the negative, which is what we're going to do in the first demo. We're not even going to use the dots. We're just going to use the dies, because when these cut, they're going to leave you the negative part of them as well as the cutout element. The same with a big circle, giving you lots of ideas or not sort of options to infill that die cut with different elements too. So what we'll do for the first part of this demo is I'll find my lines, because we need these as well. And we'll bring in both of these. We'll bring in the small and the large. It's actually the large we need for the card. So actually I'll keep with the large and I'll show you the same one idea with this circle at the same time. And we'll bring in our mats. Now the rectangles, as in this long strip one, this doesn't have an outside edge attached to it, and we didn't do one as a separate for these. We decided that actually you might wish to marry that up and cut it to much larger pieces, so there's no outside edge with it. With the circle one, it does actually come with an outside edge as well, and you probably see me wafting that around a little bit. But if you prefer, you can trim this one out of the cardstock. We're not going to do that for this. We're going to leave it in place, possibly because I just threw the die across the room. It's a good reason to leave it where it is. But we'll find some card and we'll go for this one actually. Oh, let's go for some orange. We never use orange, do we? Let's go for some orange. We'll lay some orange over the top and we'll send this through. Now, whilst I've been waffling, do we have any questions, queries, or problems we can possibly help with, Peter?
Well, problems, poor Alison. My lovely glue lady, what have you done to her?
Good.
Well, what have you done to her?
What do you mean, poor Alison?
Well, because of your sale, she said she just had her first beans on toast for dinner. And there's been many more things on toast for the rest of the month. So,
this is not good, Alison.
Not good, is it?
We need to talk about some self-control, Alison. This is not good at all. You'll get me a bad reputation. But on a plus side, hopefully you got some lovely bargains. You're going to have to tell me what's in the comments. If you did go wild in the aisles through the sale, what did you get? What are your choices? What was your selections? What did you get hold of? Because it would be lovely to hear. Because it's always hard from our side to know, like, with a sale, should we do them in theme? Should we do them in collections? Should we do them in bundles? Do you want Christmas, although it's January? So what did you go for? Tell us all. In my world, Christmas at £2, £3 and £4 is a good time to buy Christmas, whatever's going on. It could have been Christmas Day and you could have got my money out of it. Because to me, I know I'm going to go back to Christmas again, because we do as crafters, don't we? We never stop, really. Okay, so there are our two cutouts. We're going to take this one away so you can see all of those dots. Those will, of course, come out. And then we'll go across this big background as well. Now, I am going to let you into a little secret. This has reminded, and I am showing my age here a little, this has reminded me since the day we designed it of the Fame Academy logo. I don't know if anyone's going to remember Fame Academy from BBC One. We as a family, back when it was on, was obsessed with it. And they had a logo very similar to this with Fame Academy right in the middle of it. And if you don't know what Fame Academy is, it was kind of like the X Factor meets Big Brother. You kind of had contestants. They did a Saturday night show where they would sing and get evicted, but you could also watch them all week, live in the house and kind of go through their training and all their choreography and bits like that to see how that kind of went for them and how they was progressing. So it was kind of interesting because you got to see both their kind of on stage persona and you got to see their behind the scenes persona. So I really enjoyed it, and they did a couple of series. They also did a really good celebrity one. And I can remember that Joe Brand did the celebrity one.
I don't remember that.
Do you not remember that? Edith Bowman, Joe Brand. Who else was in it? I'll have to give that some thought. I'm sure this is why Wikipedia exists, but nevertheless. So there are our cutouts. Now, as I mentioned, this one is going to stay in place, but we can, of course, trim it. We can, of course, also bring back the die and we can layer that together, and we can actually multi-cut that to whatever size we want it to be. So maybe we're talking a threading ribbon through it, maybe we're going to paper piece back in a different colour and spell out words or make patterns. The options really are kind of endless with a collection like this. It's one of the reasons I absolutely adore it so much. And it's really down to the colours you use, the styles and sort of themes you're going to be taking this often to. So we're going to take these out of the way for the second, and we're going to bring in two pieces I've already trimmed, one from blue card, one from pink card. And we're going to bring in a piece of paper to work with, and we're going to bring in, if I can find it, give me one moment while I go digging, we're going to bring in our applicator and our little blending plate to do our glue with. Now, I know you've seen these before, and I know every company does them, but I would be very naughty if I didn't mention and remind you that we now have our very own Creative Expressions ones, where we have our ink blending tools and our foams available for you, and you actually get 20 foams in the top-up pack, which is kind of quite a lot actually when I've looked around. And in here you get 4 of the sponges with 2 of the tools. And one of the big reasons I would highly recommend, if you don't already have one of these in your collection, is actually to apply glue with. So I keep one of my tops just for our glue, and then of course I'm kind of lazy. I tend to leave it on the base, and then I'm going to be honest with you, in my little drawer down here I have a jar that I think come with a dessert in it. Pete will probably know better than I do. Dessert jar from somewhere posh? Maybe?
No, I don't know where that's come from.
No?
No.
No, I don't know then. I thought it was M&S.
Could be.
I thought we'd been a little bit posh at some stage in life and bought an M&S dessert.
Might be. I'm used to the smaller ones that are...
No, well, that wouldn't work, would it? I ain't going to stand in that. But this stands perfectly in my little jar. And I keep it that way up, so in between uses it doesn't stick to the bottom, and it's just ready to go. I also do the same with our sticky stuff glue. So this is the one for my sticky stuff glue, and I keep that in there ready to go as well. And I keep the two separate so that they are not merging, not sticking to one another. I'm ready to go. My blending mat, I also leave this for my glue, so it always stays like it is. And then I bring my glue in and I squidge it out onto my blending mat. So we've got a little bit of that down, and then we go in with a blending tool, pick this up, and we're going to go over one of these 2 panels. Now, because of the pink one is slightly larger than the blue one, we're going to use the back of the pink one. So we're going to take our glue and we're going to apply this over the back of it. And it's just a quicker, easier way to get over all of those delicate pieces and make sure we've got a good bond from one layer to the other without having to glue them all individually or go across all of them dots or do anything too faffy, because life is far too short. And then we can pick that up. We've got a good bond on that now. We can place these back into the little containers within the drawer. We might come back to them a little later on, we might not. And we'll bring this in and we're going to place it over the top of this one. And all we're going to do this time is we are going to drop it and slide it across so that in the middle of each of the pink dots or holes or circles, we're going to have a little blue cross. We'll have a little bit of wiggle room to line them up and make sure we're happy with them. And if we're not happy, I'll peel it apart and we'll do it again. And we can give that a good firm push down, make sure that's nicely bonded. And we're of course working on a non-stick mat, so even if there is a little bit of glue that comes from underneath, not the end of the world. Out goes me creasing it. Now that'll take just a second to grab, so we'll leave that there for one moment. And we'll go on to the layers of our card that we're going to be working on. So we'll bring in our card blank for this creation, and we'll give you a little measurement. We're going to be building this one to 5 inches approximately by 7. And I've taken a 7x7 card and trimmed off the top part of it so that we've actually got the 7x7 bit, but the 5-inch bit going that way, because I really like these top opening cards. So that's the way I've created it. I've then brought in the same colours of card that we've layered to make our little bit of mesh. And we're going to layer this up. Now, another thing that we can do with those panels is we can also sink things inside them. So I'll show you this with the orange one in a second if I remember. But where we talk about layering onto with the dots, we can of course foam pad this onto something and then put things with inside it. And the 3mm gems or 3mm pearls fit really lovely underneath it and give you a completely different look too. Any other questions while we're layering?
There's a couple. I'm just trying to
Or
think what
confessions?
dessert could go in them pots. I'm
Oh, is
thinking of
that
like
it?
a
Have I
chocolatey.
bamboozled you
You
now?
have, and I'm thinking like a nice caramel dessert and chocolate.
We should ask the
and-
viewers.
We should.
They
I
will
think
know.
you're right. I think
Come
they...
on, guys. Where would we have got this with a dessert inside it, and what would the dessert have been? I can't
It
think for
does
the life of me where else we would have got a glass jar that kind of size for what other purpose.
No real lid.
No lid.
Doesn't
No
have a
lid in the jar.
screw cap, does it?
No. No. Oh, look at you, Miss Marple.
Oh, I'm trying to work
No.
out where
There
I
is
can
no.
get some more.
There is no screw
It's a
lid.
good excuse to buy some more.
No
Anyway,
screw lid.
questions. What have we got?
What,
yes, we
more than
have.
about the jar? I'm not surprised.
More
Well
about
done
the
for keeping it
jars.
on track, people.
Yvonne asked
Evening,
when will the bright white crushed velvet paper be available, please? That was actually restocked a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? So,
It is. It was. It has been.
So yes, it's here at HQ, and some of our stockists already have it available. So.
And this isn't pressure. Sorry, Pete, to cut you off.
That's
This
right.
isn't pressure. But if you have a favourite stockist, maybe you always purchase from The Art of Craft, Into Craft, Gilly's Crafts. You know, the list goes on. If you have a favourite stockist and they haven't yet got it back in stock, don't worry. Just tell them, because I know that our stockists really do regularly order, and they want to keep you happy and they want to work with you. So if you just let them know that that's something you would like, I'll bet my bottom dollar that they'll let you know when it comes back in on their next order. And I also have a sneaky suspicion that what Gwen's going to be talking about on Thursday evening, lots of our stockists will be ordering this week to make sure that they've got it for when it comes out. Next week? Week after? Next week?
Next week.
Next week? Next week?
Next
When it comes out. So they can add that to their orders. So just tell them, because they might not know. Things happen at quite a quick pace around here, in general, in life, in existence. And it's so easy to miss something, especially as a stockist. They've got a lot going on. They've got their posts to deal with, and their stores to deal with, and their customers to deal with, and a lot of them, their classes, and then all of their other companies, their stock. It can be quite tricky to keep up with just us getting product back in stock. We do try and remind them and tell them. And stockists, if you're watching and you haven't already joined our retailer club, then that's a good place to join to be told of these kind of things. But it is easy to miss. So yeah, don't worry. Just give them a gentle nudge. I'm sure they'll appreciate it too, and I'd love to keep you happy. Okay, so all I wanted to share with you here is just trimming off the edges. You can choose how big or small that is, and don't forget you can choose how big you cut it to begin with. So if you're thinking, well, that went down to quite a small little panel, that was my choice. I could have easily married this up, cut it multiple times, and made this the size of my living room coffee table if I could find a machine big enough to put it through. But in reality, probably A4. You took a breath.
I
tried to preempt the breath.
There was a pause. I thought I better look up and see what he's doing. Charlene.
Good evening, Charlene.
Good morning. Is it morning, Calgary? Probably
Good
is morning.
Morning, Calgary.
Good morning. Charlene's from the Paper and Ink Boutique, isn't she?
She is.
Does some good lessons there.
Just very good lessons there.
One of the things she'd love to see is Francoise Reed's woodware stamps in the floral botanical type.
Would you now?
Love her fun little characters as well, but she's missing her lovely floral stamp sets.
Pete has that tone to him.
Does he?
Pete has that tone to him that he's trying to set me up to tell you information.
Oh.
When I tell you said information, he will then moan, I have told you said information.
Me, never.
So I'm going to stay quiet, but you, Charlene, a viewer of many, many, many of our lives, will know that that tone means one thing and one thing only. And that might be that there is a collection in the pipeline, shall we say. So
in the pipeline.
Don't panic. All is en route.
There could
but it will be a little while. So I will fill you in. But I'm getting faces from the left. Well, it's not tomorrow, is it?
There might be, there might not be though. So, but yeah. Anyway.
Oh, don't play coy now, Miss Marple. Okay, so here we go with our swirls. And this, of course, is our large swirls, which I've lost around here now. I had it, I've lost it. Story of my life. It will be here somewhere.
It's probably been thrown across the floor. So.
Oi, that was just one die. I don't know where I've put it. I've got no idea. It doesn't matter. I flashed them once. You know what it is. It looks something like that. It's a swell. There's 2 in a packet. All I'm going to do with this is take a pair of scissors and snip away the excess. We're going to cover a lot of this. Oh, don't come up here now, getting all my bits out and finding where these things are. Trying to be organised.
Miss Marple's on the move.
Miss Marple. What's the one with the typewriter that we like?
Jessica Fletcher.
That's the one. Call you Jessica Fletcher. I told you there's a new series of that. I feel we've had that chat on a live.
Was it that or a film? Is it a new series?
Well, I don't, well, they're doing more.
Oh, we like
There's
that.
going to be more.
Who's Jeff? Yeah.
Okay, so there are our different pieces. Now, as you can see, I've kind of favoured this part, but quite easily we could have favoured that side, so we've got less bumps on that bit and used that part. And this is what I love about a big swirl and a big flourish. You can choose the bits you want to work with and actually where you want to take this down to. And I sometimes think we forget that when we look at larger dies in general. I know I do, so if it sounds like I'm kind of telling you stuff you already know, it's as much a reminder for me as it is for you. But we can go in and trim bits and pieces down to actually make them much smaller, because sometimes we do want to do little cards, or maybe we want to go and create our own swirl going off in our own direction with our own pieces and make it much bigger for a scrapbook page, for instance, or a border or something, and actually seeing how we can take all of those pieces and place them together can kind of be a bit refreshing to show that actually we're kind of in control of this. We could make that as big or as small as we want it to be. So all we're going to do is we're going to stick to the bit that I started with, which is a bit like, you know, when you see them in New York with the cups where they move everything and they're like, where's that gone? This is my version of this with a swirl, but it's this bit I wanted. So we'll go to this one, and I only know that because it's got foam tape on it. So we'll go in and we'll remove the foam tape pieces off the reverse. And we'll see if we can place this down onto this little panel on the side, and we're going to purposely kind of go over the edges, off one bit and round there, so it kind of neatens this up a little bit. Then our flowers. Now don't forget that these of course are going to cut, and they're going to deboss with that perfect little dot on them that can have all of them additions added to them. So once again, pearls, gems, anything we'd like to bring in. And here's one of the little orange ones just placed on the top there to give you an idea. So very easy to add placement to. We mentioned earlier the dotty glue, and I often wonder if sometimes, and again I know I'm guilty of this, products come out, we miss them, we don't know that they've come out, and then times kind of move on and it's gone before our very eyes. So just in case you've not seen the dotty stuff, this is the dotty stuff, hence the word dot wrote on the bottom of my glue bottle, so I remember which one's which. And this, when it comes out, forms, you've probably guessed it, kind of gives it away on the bottom of the bottle, doesn't it? But it forms the most perfect dots. So when it comes to going on to these recesses, we can go in and pick where we want them to be and add them down. Now, not only will this form the perfect dot that can be added to with different products, it can also be left to dry before adding a product. And I know that seems a bit silly for a glue, doesn't it? That's the last thing you imagine I'm going to tell you. But if you was to be using this with gilding flakes, something that you want to put on and brush heavily to kind of put in place and take off the excess, I would recommend you leave this to set, then put your flakes on it, then brush them away. If you want to use this with glitter glues, not glitter glues, sorry, with glitters, then I tend to find it's better if we do it when it's wet. So it's just trying to see what works best for you. But even when you do it with your glitters, it doesn't mean you have to worry about clearing it off straight away. So let's do this so you can see what I mean. We're going to bring in the periwinkle, and we're going to give this a little over the top, a little wiggle, and we'll do the same over the flower. Now, if I wasn't doing this live, I would leave that, because I'd put it somewhere so I'm not going to waft it, and I would leave that and I'd let it set, because there's no real rush here, but as there is because we're live, we'll tap off the excess. Now, as long as you don't dilly-dally too much, you will find that your perfectly formed dots will stay perfectly in place, and a little shake won't hurt them. If they're really big dots, let's say you was doing a 10mm dot in the middle of a flower, then obviously there's a lot more glue and a lot more liquid, and you start shaking and you might find it's a bit of an earthquake and it moves around a little bit. But little dots, you should be absolutely fine to give them a tap and have them form as perfect dots, whether we're on paper, whether we're on die cuts. So if you've not seen the dotty stuff glue, I would highly recommend you have a little play with that and see that in action, because there is a lot of fun to be had with that. I know it's one of the products that Gwen absolutely adores and often comes back to time and time again, and is on at me in a really positive way, which I love, to bring you different things to put over the dotty stuff glue, which is something we're going to be working on later this year. No real sort of hint yet, so before Pete yells at me, but just something in general. We're already looking at what we can bring you next to put over the top of them. Now already we've got our gemstones glitters, we've got our atomics glitters, we've got our gilding flakes. So there's quite a selection of things to go over them, even just within our brand. But of course it doesn't have to be our brand. You might already have an amazing selection of glitters or mica powders or something from another brand, and you can use them over the top of that as well, of course. Now with our flowers, I chose this time not to add anything to it. I just wanted to leave them relatively plain, because you don't have to add more to them if you don't want to. So we're going to bring in the flowers, and we're going to try and just place them going around on our twiddle. And we're going to move up that pearl. We're going to place another one in there. And I think I'm relatively happy with that placement. It's not quite the same as what I did on the original card, but it'll do. It's not too shabby. And there we have the original and our new one just created for you. And we would, of course, as always, like to give away what we create. So I have a question for you this evening. And I think we might have asked this question once before, if I'm being honest with you. But we're going to ask it again, because there might be some new viewers, or you can just trust that we have no memory, so you can tell us again anyway. But as we went to a lovely vow renewal / wedding style vibe over the weekend, when we were trying to come up with a question, Pete said to me, we need to ask about wedding stories. So we would like to know tonight, do you have any funny wedding stories? Any scary wedding stories? Any problematic wedding stories? Any wedding confessions? Are you the person who stood up in the middle and said, no, you can't do that? Whatever it may be, which I'm sure you didn't, but whatever it may be, pop them in the comments. A, we'll have a good little chuckle about them, and B, at some stage, Pete will pick a winner to receive the cards, and we'll post them to anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter where you are, what your wedding-related story is or confession, we will find somebody to win these cards and pop them in the post too. Now, before we move on to demo number 2, Peter, did we have any questions regarding anything that we could share and do and help with?
Well, my comments froze, you see, so I had to go on a little thing. I thought they're very quiet. Something's not right here. So I need to catch up on a few bits. The important bit is Kim reckons they were M&S yogurt pots.
M&S. I felt M&S. I felt they're. I'm not. I think they're old. It might be a couple of years ago, but I think that was an M&S cheeky treat. I might be wrong, but Kim is on board with us. That's a good sign that we might be down the M&S route. Look at us being all very posh, having M&S ones. Kind of impressed for us, Peter.
There you go. And then what else we got on here? Jackie, I've just seen your note because you won our prize last week, didn't you? I think it was Sue's Christmas dies. We've had no email, hence why we've not yet. But
Jackie's not gone to junk, has she?
Excuse the expression. I've checked my junk and she's not in there.
Did you email Jackie?
So
did you message?
She says, "Did you get my email from claiming
Good, you've told us
a prize?" Wasn't sure if it was right email address with a laughing face.
That's all right. So talking to people, I still don't know any of my email addresses, although they do seem to keep multiplying, and now I'm just very, very, very confused. Come on, Peter, give us the email again.
Jackie, if you pop us an email, it's jamierogerscrafts@hotmail.com. Rogers with a D. Maybe we've not.
Oh, it could be the D.
He tries to be posh, you see, but
well, I don't try to be posh, but they do reckon if you look them up that it is a sign of being posh. I think they're wrong, but I think it is. It's meant to be a bit rough. That's what I have to put up with. You see it all, don't you? You see it all on these lives.
Just seeing that Gwen, my lovely wench.
You can't call her that in public.
We've given a sword to cut our cake.
Pardon? She was given a sword to cut out her cake.
One wonders what the cake was or how big the cake was.
What do you mean he was given a saw?
A sword.
Sword. What a sword?
She likes her
I'm very distracted here. I've lost my enchanted sprinkles. I think we might have a bigger problem. They've gone.
Oh,
Carry on though with the sword.
Um,
Oh, I found them. Do not fear.
and Emma, lovely Emma Coffin, almost fainted and couldn't remember Stuart's name when it came to the vowels.
Oh, that's quite
Bless.
sweet though, isn't it? That's quite lovely.
I'd just be I just wouldn't know what I'd be like. Okay, I think I'd just go see.
I don't know what persona I need to ask for now, but I need a tray to work on and possibly a Mr. bottle because I feel like we've been robbed. I feel like somebody's run in here and robbed me Mr. tray and me bottles. So any chance Challenge Annika is going to find me a tray and a Mr. bottle, please. While Pete's gone off to find them, I thought we would play with something we haven't played with for a little while. I bet you can't guess what they are. Our enchanted sprinkles. Because what I see, that there was a card shed recently that I'd made and I totally forgot all about it. And I thought it would be nice to play with it because I found it in our kit. So I thought we could have a little look at this evening. So I thought we would play with our little giraffe, which is actually one of our stencil vault stencils. And it's one of my favourites. I suppose it's possibly because of, and you've possibly heard this story before, but in our little household, Pete is our giraffe, just mostly because he's ridiculously tall. But he is our giraffe. So I've got a bit of a fond love for giraffes. And when this stencil was available to us, it was one I had to have in our stencil vault collection. And it's such a simple card to create because it is, of course, working with our enchanted sprinkles. And I am going to be honest, I had a feeling that if you see these and you've not seen them before, you might have a couple of questions about them. And this is one of my favourite products to talk about and play with. So if you do have any enchanted sprinkles questions, this is your moment to ask and pop them in the comments. And I'll do my very best to answer them for you. But it is one of them things that we bought these out, I'm going to say 6 months ago. Maybe longer than that because I have no memory for time. Time is just a concept and an illusion. But I have no memory at all. I've also lost a colour by the looks of it because there was only 11 and I know we've got 12. But nevertheless, we will soldier on with 11. But obviously when they come out, it was quite a lot of things being released, such as our wonderful world of crafty concoctions. So if you have any crafty concoctions related questions regarding our enchanted sprinkles, these are a lot of big words, aren't they? They are for me anyway. Then of course we could talk about how they're going to work together and how they're going to mix. Equally, you might wonder about, do they work with mica mists and things like that? And if you do, then we can of course look at that too. Now the stencil we are using, as I mentioned, is number 24. G is for giraffe. It's one of the stencil vault stencils. Now I don't know if you've seen these before. We actually have 40 different DL stencils in the stencil vault. There is all different styles of patterns and designs, and this is a really terrible way to share them with you. But it's going to give you a little glimpse that there is lots and lots of options with these. And this is when, basically, in honesty, we design everything in-house and by hand. But actually, when we come up with the idea of these, we decided we would reach out into a design vault and pick our favourite 40. So these are designs that are readily available, but not necessarily available in stencil form from other brands that we could find. But it's our chance to go out and get designs and bring them to you and actually let you craft with them in a way that kind of gives you fresh ideas and fresh perspectives with things that we hadn't even thought of designing. And why design it when it's already available? So this is a great way for us to add to our design collection, bring you fresh designs, fresh products and fresh ideas, all in a DL format, which of course works perfectly with our slimline dies too. And our giraffe was one of the designs that was offered to us as part of our design vault. So what we're going to do to begin with is we're going to take our piece of card, and we're just going to move our screen up slightly, and we're going to place our giraffe down in the middle of the piece of card. Now you don't have to be this wasteful with your card if you don't want to be, because of course it's not needed. It's really not needed. We will of course be trimming it down once we've done it. But we're going to start off with our card flat, and we're going to go into our colours. Now, of course, there are 12 different colours to play with, so we could end up with a complete different option to what we ended up with on our finished card, or a complete different colourway to what we end up with, or started with even. But this is what I love with a product like this. It's down to what you wish to create and how you wish to play. So we've started off with Orchid. We're then going to go in for some yellow. So we're going to use Sunshine Yellow. And this is just one of the ways in which we can use these. Now, our lovely Emma, the lovely Emma who we went to the vow renewal of over the weekend, she's the lovely lady who does all of our videos for us. So you will have seen a lot of Emma's work, and you will have seen a lot of Emma's work using these products and bringing you inspiration with them. So I know that you've possibly seen videos where you can use these dry, you can use these wet, you can mix them into different mediums. There's lots of different ways in which you can use them, and it's just one of those products that every time you think you've come up with all the ways to use them, you will come up with a new idea and a new twist and a new product you can add them into. And this is really one of the things that actually has always been at my heart when it comes to the idea of crafty concoctions. These are under our Jamie Rogers Crafts brand, way before crafty concoctions was something I even thought possible that we could be doing. But it was kind of the mindset of this is one of the ingredients I would like to find in my crafty concoctions world if ever we could create it. And this is because of, as a product, it mixes so beautifully with so many different things to create so many different effects and can be used in so many different ways. So it's mica powder mixed with a dye powder in lots of colours, in lots of shard particles that give lots of different effects. Now already I've used coral pink, tidal teal, sunshine yellow and orchid. So I think we might finish this off with some Christmas red. And I'm purposely trying to fill even this area of the stencil because we're going to attempt, and it don't always come out brilliantly, but we're going to attempt to do a 2-for-1 effect. We'll try and use the positive and the negative. And if we don't, it's not the end of the world. So we'll tap that all the way across the edges, and then we might, just because we can, go in with some Stormy Skies to do this top part up here. Now one of the things you do have to learn is when to stop, and this is one of my problems. I do like these and I love the different colour mixes, so you could end up watching me for the next 20 hours just tapping a bowl to see all the different colours. But I do enjoy a good mix. You don't have to, you could have done it all in one colour if you prefer. So that of course is Stormy Skies, Christmas Red, Orchid, Sunshine Yellow, Tidal Teal and Coral Pink. And then we're going to come in with some water and we're going to mist over the top of this. Now, as the water hits the product, it will react and we will start to see it firework out slightly. If you feel you've put too much water on, then stop. If you don't, then carry on adding. The outside edges are a good indicator of what's happening within the stencil, because the more we dilute this side down, the more water we add, the more it starts to run. The more it runs, the more inside that stencil it's going to run, and then we might end up with a bit of a patchy giraffe. So we don't want it to be too watery, we don't want it to be too runny. Now, if I was doing this on my own, I would be in no rush to remove that stencil, because the more water we add, when we come to lift away the stencil, if we have made a little wall around it within the stencil and there is a bit of a puddle, if we remove the stencil, it's going to seep straight under that. We're going to end up with a bit of a splodge. If I was doing this on my own, I would be tempted to let that water settle down, absorb in and dry off a little. So when I remove the stencil, there is no flood because the wall stayed in place till it was dry or till it was settling and absorbing. But you don't want to watch water dry. That would be a really boring live. I often fear that our lives are probably quite boring already, let alone without making you watch water dry. So we're going to take this away, but I am going to get prepared off to one side if I can find me bits and pieces. And we're going to find a piece of white card because we're going to take a print off of the one that we've just done. And we're going to find a piece of paper to put over the top. Now, while I'm getting these out, Peter, you haven't confessed yet any wedding stories. Now, I know I haven't paused for breath, but is there any? Have they joined in with our silly question of the evening?
Well, besides Gwen and her sword cutting a cake, where are we? Lynn, lovely Lynn Lee, and Rob. She's dobbing Rob in. Rob turned up at the wedding munching on a McDonald's sausage McMuffin so he was the late one.
There is no judgment for that. We understand this.
Absolutely. Heather from Australia.
Hello,
years ago at a family wedding, there ended up being a brawl, including the bride and groom.
No!
Sounds like EastEnders, doesn't it?
What started the brawl? That's what we need
we want to know, Heather, do we?
Oh, I do. You
do
might
you,
not.
Heather? What went on at the wedding that created a brawl?
Was it over the cake?
Maybe someone said, when they say, does anyone know a reason why they can't? Do they still do that in Australia? I presume they do.
I don't know.
Maybe someone stood up and then it all kicked off from there.
I don't know.
We need to know, Heather.
We do need to know. The nosiness in us.
She
needs
loves
to
the
know.
enchanted sprinkles as well.
Okay, so I'm going to take that away. Oh, I've got a little bit going on here. A little bit too wet. Not the end of the world. We'll see what we've got. This one is the bonus one. And never forget that. This is our bonus version. This is the bit that we didn't expect. This is the bit that's come as the negative to the positive. So if it doesn't come out okay, do not fear. There's still quite a bit of product on here. We could mist this with water. We could take a lighter print from it. So we could still take more prints off of the stencil. But this bit, and I'm actually quite happy with that. I know I've got a bit of smudging going on around here. That wouldn't overly bother me. I would still very much use this panel. But we'll come back to that in a second because we can do different things with it. We don't have to worry about what we did. We can still use the card. This is what we wanted, and I'm really pleased with how this one's come out. Now, you wouldn't normally choose to waft these around when they're still wet because obviously any of them puddles could still move and we could end up with a bit of a smudge or a drip or a movement. But actually, doesn't that look absolutely gorgeous? Now, when this dries, the mica is going to set and you're going to end up with a bit of sparkle and a bit of shimmer to it as well. And the water, of course, is going to dilute out. Now, it's down to you whether you wish to keep it with its edge. I actually really like this frame going around it. Might be tempted to just cut it off at the top and the bottom and leave it with those sides. But of course, you can focus in actually on the main panel if you prefer. One of the bits I also like with this stencil is we chose to use it in that direction. But if we was to clean it, flip it over and reapply some colour over here, maybe we'd mask it off first, we can actually have two drafts looking at each other because obviously we've got the mirror image of it instead. So lots of ways our G-Raft can be used. And I know that when this come out, a couple of our DT, including Diane, did some lovely cards. I think it was Diane and Lynn maybe, did some lovely cards where they actually did some anniversary ones with the two drafts looking at each other. And that was a really nice idea to sort of show you how that could work. Now we're going to take this one off and we're going to leave that to dry off to one side and we're going to bring this one back in because I just wanted to share with you, and this isn't necessarily, and I've left it a bit of time, but if you are really unhappy with what's happened here with your print, all of this product is still alive, it's still movable, we can still dilute that down. We can then take a paintbrush if we want and we can start moving this around and we can colour in that white area. Now you might choose to do something along these lines and take a print from that or take the top part of this off and actually have that as quite a light background with a different look. Or you might carry on working this over and then add more colour to it and actually use that instead. Or you might choose to die cut from it. But all I want you to see is that nothing is ever lost. If you're not happy with a product like this, you can keep working with it, you can keep taking prints from it, you can keep changing it until you are happy with it. So even where we had that little bit of a smudge going on, we could dilute that down and make that even nicer. We're going to keep taking that away just a sec. Let's just take away with another piece of, and this copier paper, again, maybe you're going to keep this and you're going to die cut flowers out of it. You're going to die cut elements out of it. You're going to leave that to set as it is because look how beautiful that is. Again, when you think of the mica that's on here and the different ridges you're going to get and the different textures you're going to get, nothing, and I mean nothing, is lost. Everything that you pick that pigment up on and you pick that mica up on is going to dry with a nice sparkle and a nice finish and then can be used in your next creation and the next product. Now that looks quite vintage to me and I'm quite happy with that. So we could leave that as it is. And again, that's going to dry. That's going to give you a different look. Tomorrow, if I remember, I'll post a picture of this so you can see how that looks. And I'll share with you how the one that we did looks. So you can see the positive and the negative of those two panels. I always think, if I remember, it's kind of nice to show you how they look once they're dry. So any questions regarding the enchanted sprinkles before we move on?
No, all good, all good.
Oh, that's not what I wanted.
Sharon,
I really wanted somebody to say, how will that look with the new Crafty Concoctions base, Jamie? How would that look? Because I haven't yet had a chance to play with them.
Sharon, evening Sharon,
Evening,
Sharon Noble. You need to cut flowers on the sides of cutting it off.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, or sentiments. If you want to add a sentiment on, that can absolutely be done as well, which is actually what we've done for this card, and I totally forgot about it. But yes, that would work nicely. So here we are, but that is a lovely idea, Sharon. So here we are with our mats and layers for this collection. And we're just going to build this one up. So we've got this one to give away as well. See if we get any other wedding confessions.
Heather can't remember how the brawl started. Sorry.
Oh, it's all right.
We have to make our own story up.
Well, you kind of did. You'd got, what was your version of events from you who wasn't there? It was all over the cake and, you know.
Oh, no.
You turned it, and Heather might not know of EastEnders being in Australia, but you turned it into an episode of EastEnders.
I thought it could be someone who stood up and said they couldn't get married.
Did that not happen? I'm sure it has happened many times, probably on EastEnders. Between Corrie and EastEnders and Neighbours and Home and Away and all of those different soaps around the world. I should imagine that storyline's been played out a few times. One thing I really liked about Emma's vow renewal was the ice cream section as well. She had a lovely little ice cream buffet, didn't she? Beautiful.
That was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was a really nice little touch. It was all lovely. So special to get to see their vow renewal. Really was lovely. Okay, on with our main panel. So with this one, you can see I went for slightly different colours. I went for a slightly darker mix, including using lots of the shades that I didn't use in the one that we just did. But one I am going to point out that a lot of people, surprisingly, tell us is their favourite, which is Circuit Breaker, which is the darkest one in the family. It's got lots of charcoal and orange and kind of like a really tealy blue in there that kind of looks like a circuit set, hence the name Circuit Breaker. But that's one of our most popular shades across the board from our Enchanted Sprinkles world. Then to finish this off, I'm going to bring in our dies, and I'm going to kind of pick up on what Sharon said here. I'm going to use our Happy Halloween sentiment panel. I'm going to use the word Thinking of You, and I've done exactly as Sharon said, and I've used this offcut from around the side of the stencil for the die cut of the sentiment, so that the tones of the sentiment match the actual stenciled element beneath it. And then we're just going to place that down on there, and hopefully with this one, you can see that lovely shimmer come through from the mica. Doesn't that look good? Doesn't that mica just bring it to life? So that's card number 2 that we will send out to our winner when Pete gets picking his winner shortly. Of course, what's your kind of wedding related stories, confessions, or bits you want to tell us about? Now, do we have any product related questions, Peter, that I can answer?
No, not that I've spotted, unless they were popping up when my comments were frozen. But
so am I allowed to have a little play with some white shard and an enchanted sprinkle? I think we could, couldn't we? Should we have like 2 minutes of that before we let you go? Just because of genuinely, and I mean this, I haven't had a chance to play with these. We did a demo day, and I did get a chance to play with a couple of bits, but not a lot. And I just want to see, how will the Opti Gold look if we was to mix in some enchanted sprinkles? Because that is what our whole Crafty Concoctions brand is about, is what can we mix together and what can we create with it. And I know Emma's touched on some of this in some of her videos, but me personally, I haven't had a lot of chance to play with some of these, so it'd be nice to see what we can create. I'm going to give you all, I'm going to do that with you as well, actually. Again, on our demo day, I come up with this, and I hadn't ever thought of this before. And it's all about kind of trying to come up with different ideas all the time, isn't it? And show you different ideas. And I hadn't thought of actually using our texture pastes with embossing folders. So this is one of our Sue Wilson embossing folders. Very, very pretty. Love this design. Very, very beautiful. And we're going to see if I can bring in 2. Oh, I might bring in a white one. Oh, this is a tangent I'm not meant to be going off on, just in case anyone is wondering. This is not planned at all, but a good excuse to play. So we'll use that one, and we'll use this one, and then we'll see if we can find one of the black ones as well. We've got one of the black ones for another black one. Come on. Oh, yeah, we have. There we go. So, okay, what we're going to do is we are going to try and find a clean finger, because if we don't wish to have it coloured, we're going to dip into our texture paste. Now this, of course, is our Apillion Paste Opti Gold from Crafty Concoctions. And these are big old jars, 150ml jars. And the recommended retail price of these is $8.99.
Correct.
Oh, I should get a little
Gold
point
star.
for that, I'm sure. We're going to take off a little part onto our non-stick mat, because then that way I can still pick it up without it drying. And we're going to use this over the top of our embossed card just like you would a wax. Now, I might be being really slow to the party, which often happens, quite often, and I'm sure there's so many talented demonstrators and designers and companies and YouTubers and influencers and all of that lot in the world now that I think it's very hard to say you've ever come up with something that somebody hasn't done somewhere. So I'm pretty sure a million people before me have thought of this, but I don't think I'd ever thought of using texture paste as a wax or kind of creating that effect with them. And when we did this at the demo day, I was really chuffed with how it looked. And I keep thinking I'm going to put it up in a little video, but that day hasn't come to me yet. That time hasn't found itself present. So instead, I'll share it with you this evening. But if you see a video, pretend like you've never seen it before for me, because it'll be a shock. It's probably more a shock if I get a chance to do the video, in fairness, or remember to do it. But we will see. Videos is something we would like to bring you more of, more content, more ideas, but there is a limit to the hours in the day. I always admire these people who don't sleep a lot. I don't always sleep brilliantly, don't get me wrong, but I really wish I could operate on like 2 hours a night like some people do. The things I could get done in a day if I didn't sleep as much. Not that I sleep a lot, but just a normal amount. I just wish I didn't have to. That's where they could develop a tablet, I'm sure. Okay, so we've brushed this over the top of that one, and we're going to leave that to set for a minute. Now, doesn't that look beautiful? Now, I quite like this going around the edges, but I'm trying to be a bit quick. If you don't want to be as quick, you could, of course, just go over the tops of the flowers, but I'm kind of enjoying that kind of halo effect around the design. So we're going to do that again, because I want to show you the before and after on this in a little while. But we don't need to do all of it, so don't panic. The screen has not frozen. I have not completely lost the plot. We are not really going to do this completely twice. We're just going to pick up on a few areas and run around this. Now, if anyone would like to know what folder this is, you might need to check out the website because my memory's gone, to be honest with you. It is a Sue Wilson folder. It's one that we have available. It'll be available through the stockists currently. There are 3 or 4 in this series. All different shapes and styles, but kind of floral wreaths, if you will. Absolutely beautiful. Some of my favourite folders I've ever seen Sue do. So you might want to have a little look at those if you've not seen them before. We're going to leave that one off to one side as well, and we'll come back to it. And just because I thought you might like to see it, we'll do a little bit over the white. Now, I might end up contaminating this with a bit of enchanted sprinkles off of my fingertips. But if I don't, we'll end up with quite a nice golden finish just over the top of the white. Now again, you don't want to watch me do all of this, but the white will be slightly more forgiving than the black, and it will just add a nice golden halo and bit of mica and shimmer over the top of this. So should we give that a little wiggle? Can you see that? It'd be very nice for a wedding, wouldn't it? Chatting very much weddings this evening, aren't we? But it would be. I think the lights might be playing a bit of a trick there on the white, but hopefully you're seeing it capture as we give it a bit of a twist through the light, a bit of a shimmer. But it's nice, isn't it? It's pretty. So we'll come back to that in a second. And we're going to try and let one of them dry so that we can experiment with that shortly. And then we're going to clean that off slightly, and we're going to bring in a couple of blending mats because I think it might be nice to see how our Opti Gold and our enchanted sprinkles mix together. See what they do. So let's bring in a mat. Let's bring in a small amount of Opti Gold. We'll place that down on there. I could have done this on the mat originally, couldn't I? I made a little mess over there. I didn't need to. Could have been much more organised. And then we'll go for, should we go for tidal teal? Let's go for a bit of tidal teal to begin with. Now, of course, these are moisture activated. So if we was to mist with water, we would dilute that down even further. But there is, of course, moisture within the texture paste already. So if we give that a mix through, we should find that colour will activate beautifully and colour throughout that on its own. But if you do want to, you could of course dilute that down further. Now we could of course mix our colours as well, and this is what Crafty Concoctions is all about, is allowing you to mix and create different creations, different styles, different ideas. So now we've got that in there. Let's see what happens if we add in a little bit of orchid. So we'll add in just a couple of taps of orchid, not a lot, just a little. And we might add in a bit of water at this stage because we've added in quite a bit of dry powder. So it won't hurt for this concoction if we add in just a small amount of water as well. We'll give that a little mix. Now, I promise you, I've not done this before to my recollection. So what we're going to end up with and how it's going to look, I honestly don't know. This isn't a pre-formulated plan. This is a man out on a limb, just having a play to see what we can create, which is actually one of my favourite places to be, because it's at that stage you create something different and new and unique to what you've played with before. And then, of course, we could leave that as it is. But shall we bring in some of our Atomics glitters? We'll bring in Colloidal Violet, and we'll mix in a fair bit of that, because I'd like to really see that throughout the mix. And then I'd also like to bring in another one of our texture pastes. And this is going to help bulk this formula out a little. But I also want to add more to it, so don't do this. Oh, honestly, this is not good, is it? Look at me contaminating. Clean off or bring in another spatula or palette knife. You don't have to do this. Oh, honestly, naughty, naughty me. But we're going to bring in some of our micro granite paste clear shard. So we've got the Opilion paste, that's bringing us the mica and the shimmer and the gold hue. We've got the colours which are coming in, of course, from the Enchanted Sprinkles. We've got the glitter that's coming from the Atomics Glitters. So why have we added in clear shard? What's that going to do to us? Well, that's going to dilute that down. It's going to extend it out further. And it's also going to add in that clear shard. The shard is like a piece of sand, if you will, like a little bit of granite-y, sort of shardy, sandy piece, which will also give it some texture and a bit more welly to our mix. So we're going to mix this all together and see what we've created. Now, because of this is a wet mixture, we can of course add more over the top of it once it's gone through its stencil, onto its panel, whatever it is we're going to do with this. So if you wanted to add more sparkle, if you feel like you've lost your sparkle within it, do not fear. We'll add more over the top. But let's show you what we've created. Let's see if we can get that sparkle to come through. Let's let that camera catch up. Can you see that encrusted glitter running through there? Can you see the sparkle? That kind of looks a bit like a kitchen worktop to me, but full of glitter and glitz, like a nice bathroom tile maybe. In a Disney hotel room, possibly. When you used to go, do you remember going into the Disney store when they refitted them all here in the UK and had them really glitzy tiles about 15 years ago? That kind of look. I might just be confessing here my Disney store shopping, but it's kind of that look actually, kind of encrusted glitter. Very, very pretty. And then we're going to take a stencil and we're going to place this through the top here. Now you can hear that sand or that micro granite texture, and we can hear that glitter coming through, going through into that stencil. Now this could be diluted down, it could have been painted over as a glaze, we could have done so many different things in that mixture if we wanted to, but actually just applying it through the top of the stencil gives us a completely different look to where we started with just our gold Opilion paste. We'll take that part off. And if you missed this when it came out, if you missed the Crafty Concoctions World when we launched it, just before Christmas, I know what Christmas is like, we're all in a bubble, we're all worried about Christmas, we're all worried about Christmas shopping, we quite often and easily miss things within our sort of crafty existence, don't we? Because of the world's moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour and it's all heading towards the big day. So if you missed this when it come out, you might not know this, but we have storage jars. So just like right now, I've made a little bit too much of this mix, and I might have really fallen in love with it and decided, you know what, I'm going to make all of my Christmas cards out of that mix. I'm going to make all of my wedding invitations out of that mix. I want to make that mix because I want to have 700 different projects made from that this year. If that's the case, you can mix as much of that as you wish to, and you can put it into our storage jars and then come back to it time after time to reuse it. So that's one option. We also have our little recipe cards. Now our recipe cards are designed that if you think of all of the things we just put into that, you write that down on your card and then your little splodge at the bottom on the white and the black piece to show you what that's going to look like when it's dry, how that's going to settle, what that's going to become when it's settled. And then if you want to make it again, or maybe you want some inspiration, you can go back to it time after time and recreate that with a different look. Now with my one here, I don't want to store it, I don't want to get rid of it, I don't want to waste it, So let's see, what could we do to this? Now we're at quite a dark stage already. So where are we going to go with this? How could we lighten that down? What could we add into it? Well, my first thought is actually that we bring in some of our inks, because we've got our lovely inks. Now, there is a white ink, and I've got the white ink, which is always amazing. Let's bring in some of the white and see if we could dilute that down and lighten that down just a small amount. So this is the Chroma inks in Catalyst White. Let's see how light we can get that from there. And if that don't work, we'll go back to our Enchanted Sprinkles. We might even bring back in our Enchanted Sprinkles anyway and add some more colour into it and take it off on a slightly different look. But look how chalky this now looks with that white mixed into it. And all we've done is added a small amount. Now, it might have looked like quite a bit being added into that product, but I can assure you that your bottles come filled with 18 mils in them. And the amount I just used was literally like a few drops of this. And it's actually made my paste quite free moving. So we could add in more paste, we could add in more glitter, we could add in more colour if we prefer. But we've taken that quite dark shade down to quite a nice lilac-y bluey shade, quite a nice denim shade, I suppose, that actually could have more added to it and have taken off on a different tangent. So I think we might, I don't know, Pete, what do you reckon? Should we go, well, we had kind of a purple, didn't we? Should we go red? Maybe blue? We could intensify the blue, but we was kind of out of blue. Where do you reckon we should go? Give us a colour.
Try red.
Try red, see what we end up with. I don't know
happens.
how that's going to go.
Tiny bit, can't it?
We might end up back at purple. Let's add in a little bit of red. Is there any questions while I'm mixing up a storm?
Sorry, excuse me. Hazel, lovely Hazel
Hello,
Mason.
Hazel.
She wanted bathroom floor tiles that looked like the Disney store floor. Might have been a bit slippery when wet though.
It might have been, but that floor was pretty amazing. I am with you. That was a bit of a wow, that floor. It's so sad. I did see that they've just opened a Disney store in London. I don't know if it's a temporary one or if it's a permanent one. And they've been selling merchandise from the theme parks from around the world.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah, so you could go in and get like Disneyland Paris merchandise and bits like that. But I don't know. I have a feeling it was in Selfridges or near Selfridges, something along them lines, maybe. So yeah, maybe that's them testing the market to see if they're going to come back to the UK in some format. Maybe, I don't know. Interesting to see. But I do miss our Disney stores. We had one in Norwich for a lot of years, which isn't a million miles away from us, and that was always lovely to go and kind of see and browse and live in that little Disney bubble for a few moments. So the red has made that beautiful aubergine. I really like that. That's a gorgeous colour, isn't it? I didn't quite expect we'd end up there, but I'm really pleased we did. So should we bring that and put that through a stencil? And then we must leave you poor people in peace, because again, I've gone on far too long this evening, and we shouldn't be waffling this long. You, of course, have got much more to be getting on with your evenings than listening to me play with paste and ooh and art over textures. But it is something I absolutely love, because it is a different world and a different combination every time we create. So if you do have any last minute questions, or if Pete's missed your question, then please do pop them in the comments now, and we will do our best to read them out for you and see if we can come up with an answer for you. Now Gwen, bless her, on Thursday she was actually going to do a bit of a crafty concoctions evening with you, and I'm hopefully not stealing her thunder or sharing any of her ideas with you. I know she's got a lot to share with you using the ink. So our lovely Chroma Lab inks, and I know that we will schedule that back in at some stage. Now I know that this Thursday Gwen will hopefully be back with us live and interacting with you, and she will be bringing you a sneaky peek launch from Sue Wilson's brand new collection. And then the following Thursday she'll take another little look at that collection. But maybe the Thursday after that, and this is a maybe, this isn't discussed, so please don't hold me to it, but maybe the week after that, we'll see if Gwen's back up and running and able to bring us some inspiration with the Crafty Concoctions collection. Now, I mentioned this to you earlier, that this is still wet, and we could, of course, add more to it. So I'm doing this the wrong way, because I ought to do it with my hands, but my hands have got a little bit of texture paste on them, and I don't want to get them covered too much and get it all stuck in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use our glitter and I'm going to take this over the top. So this is our gemstone glittering rose quartz to give a little bit of an embedded rose look. And then I think we're going to pick up on that same shade, and we're going to go with Radiant Embers from the Atomics glitter range. And we're going to sprinkle this one because these are a bit too big, and if I tip it, we're going to end up with it everywhere. And then I'm going to leave this to dry overnight, and we'll share this with you again tomorrow if I remember. Give me a prod if I don't. Just send me a message, or put it on this thread. Oi, Jamie, where's our pictures? We want to see how it dries, and we'll come back to that for you tomorrow. Oh, that looks rather yummy. Have a look at this. Let me see if I can tip off this excess so you don't get distracted and blinded by that. Oh, look at that. Oh, there you go. Can you see that okay? Can you see all that sparkle? Now that again is one of our stencil vault stencils. Enchanted sprinkles mixed through with our paste, added to with our glitters to make a truly unique backing. And that, of course, was out of that bit of paste that was left on here from version 1. That first one that we created, that lovely kind of navy blue panel, just by adding in a little bit of white ink and a little bit of our red, Christmas red enchanted sprinkles, we've taken it from that to that. And that's what I love about crafty concoctions. That's what I really enjoy. That ability to create and mix and make and change all on our own terms, all at our own speed, taking it to where we want it to be. And I love that about that brand and that kind of set of collection of products we've brought you already. Now I'm going to do this just before we leave you, and then I promise we're going to stop waffling and leave you for the evening. But this is just what I wanted to share with you when we did this earlier. So we added on our OptiGold texture paste, didn't we, over the top of this embossed panel. Now I wouldn't recommend you do this with your posh pens. I've recently treated myself to some posh pens. I'm not going to use these because these are posh pens and we don't want to damage posh pens. We need to look after them. So I'm going to put my posh pens back to one side. I'm going to bring in some cheap, nasty pens that come off of a, well, I don't even know where actually, off of a website that was very cheap. Let's just put it that way, shall we, so that we don't get in any trouble with anybody. And we're going to bring these in because if I damage a nib, if it's still wet, not the end of the world. It's a cheap pen. And then all we're going to do is we're going to bring in our alcohol markers. I'm going to try and find some colours. I haven't pre-planned this, so I haven't picked any colours, but we're going to go over the top of a few areas. And wherever that lovely golden halo is, that little golden glimpse, if we colour over it with a coloured pen, we're going to colour that golden into a shimmery shade of whatever it is we're adding over the top. So around all of these twiddles and leaves and foliagey bits, we're going to add in some lovely green. Now, because we're working on top of black card, wherever we pretty much colour is going to get taken in. You're not going to see that. The alcohol is going to evaporate. Nobody's going to know it's there. But over the top of that golden element, we're going to end up with a nice green glistening effect. So we'll just do a small amount of this because you're going to get the idea, and then you're going to think, why is he still waffling about that? And why is he still colouring in? We've got it. We know, Jamie. Move on. Let me go to sleep. So we'll do a small area of this, and then we'll go in for that flower. So let's see if we can make that flower pop a bit, shall we? Let's go for scarlet. See how that looks. Oh, look at that. Is it just me? I think that's beautiful. So easy to do and gives me a completely different look just by using that OptiGold before we add anything else on. If we had done this over that flower naturally, there's our same red over that flower on the reverse, admittedly, but we don't see nothing, do we? That's not very wow, is it? Boom! There's the magic. There's that golden shimmer. There's that elegant look. And how easy is that to create? So we could do that all over these elements. Now, what I would do to finish, if this was me and I was doing this for a project or a card, is I would go back into my OptiGold once I've coloured it, and this might seem a bit peculiar because I've just coloured over the OptiGold, but I would go back and I would add just the smallest detail over the top of it. Not loads, but just a golden glisten, so that actually we have that red shining through from underneath that gold. Now, you might want to let it all dry, you might want to let it all set, you might want to play around with it, you might want to add to your layers, you might want to have applied it a little bit neater, you might want to colour in a little bit neater. But you know what? I think that's pretty impressive for an embossing folder. Very easy to do, very effective. Just as a little disclaimer and a little reminder, don't use your favourite pens. Do let it dry first. You could leave it overnight if you need to. Apply it with your finger neatly if you want to, and then let it set, and then you could go on to that and leave it as it is. You could even bring in some of your dotty stuff, put in a few bits and bobs in the middles of the flowers, and pop some glitter over the top of it to finish it off if that's what you wanted to do. But it would give you that really lovely, beautiful kind of metalwork finish by just adding in that Opti-Gold little halo effect before you colour it. Did we like that?
Jackie just says, boom.
Boom!
I agree with that.
Little boom. Did you not see me do that on the demo day?
No, I was busy.
Where was you?
Busy being a slave.
I don't know if you can say that, but
No,
you
I wasn't.
You wasn't.
Not
You was
quite.
being very
I was
well
probably
behaved.
drinking a cup of tea.
Exactly. But it is a very nice effect to be able to do. And it is very hard. You did have lots of us to keep our eye on and keep topped up with supplies on that demo day, didn't you?
Keeping track of Gwen, what she was up to is...
I would be very careful. Gwen might still be with us.
Gwen is still with us.
And that could be problematic. Gwen knows where you live. And speaking of Gwen, our dear lovely Gwen is once again back off on her travels. Talking of these demo days, if you're thinking, why do I never get to go to a demo day? How do I find out about the demo days? Where are these demo days they keep talking about? The good news is today we've been finalising some of our plans for Gwen's travels for the rest of the year. I literally mean the rest of the year. If you are a stockist and you are watching this and we haven't sent you to sleep already, we have got September, November and October available. That is it for the rest of the year. Done. So if you are watching and you would like Gwen to come and visit you at your store, on your stand, wherever it may be, then you need to get in contact with us as soon as possible. If you're not a stockist and you're one of our lovely viewers, then do not fear. This means that Gwen is already booked to go up and down the country like a ping pong ball for the rest of the year and hopefully appear in an area near you. And the good news is she is starting off on the 31st of January for 2026 at Unicorn Crafts in Sheffield. Now, we will remind you of that date and time and location many, many times between now and the 31st of the month, but it is certainly one that you might want to find out more about. And if it is, pop to the event section of this page where you will see a dedicated event just for the Unicorn Crafts demo day on the 31st of January. And something else you will soon spot is in the coming days, if they're not already there, I think some are already there, but there'll be more coming. We're going to be announcing all of the upcoming demo days as they're all confirmed and put into place for the next few months. So if you're wondering, will one be on my doorstep or can I book to go to see one somewhere in the country, then absolutely you're going to be able to pinpoint those dates, times and locations and plan to be at them if that's something you would like to do, because we've listened to your feedback and we know that by telling you a couple of weeks in advance might not be enough time for you to get everything in place and sorted to make sure you're there for the day. Now, as always at Unicorn Crafts on the 31st of January, which is of course a Saturday, Gwen will be in store with them from 10 AM till 4 PM. There will be some cheeky offers. There will be a handy brochure for you to have a little flick through. And there'll be lots of inspiration from the lovely Gwen. And I know that the team on hand are absolutely adorable. Peter's been having lots of chit chats with them and getting on like a house on fire. So I know you're in for a really fun day. So if you can make it along to Unicorn Crafts in Sheffield, that is Saturday the 31st of January from 10 AM till 4 PM. Other bits to tell you about, Gwen, she'll be back with us on Thursday at 7 PM when she will be sneaky peeking Sue's latest collection for you and sharing with you lots and lots of inspiration from that collection. So do make sure that you join her 7 PM on Thursday to find out what the collection is, what it's all about and why we are genuinely also in love with it. You'll then be able to watch her on Sunday 18th of January on Hobbymaker at 4 PM and 7 PM where she'll be bringing said collection to life and bringing you lots and lots of inspiration with it. And I think that is all of the bits and pieces I need to tell them about. Do you have anything you need to tell them about, Peter? Shall we do a winner?
I think we're just with a road trip to Australia. Heather would love to see us over there in Australia, and Gwen's already said I would love that
We could send Gwen.
to Australia. Couldn't we go as well?
I don't know. Very
road
scared
trip.
about the creepy crawlies.
I will protect you.
Would you?
You
Oh, not that.
you lovely furry little kangaroos and stuff.
Kangaroos are fine. Yeah, could do kangaroos. Could do the koala bears. That we could do. All on
Okay.
camera. Little flash of my desk. Don't need
Okay,
that
we
bit.
don't need that.
Come on then. Give us some winners while we touristly book our trip around the world. You're the one who suggested it. You're the one who was up for it.
Oh,
I'm not saying no.
Yeah, Heather, we'll chat. I'm sure at some point.
Heather, I'm on route.
Anyway, thank you for all your amusing stories of what's gone on in your weddings and bits like that. So tonight's winner is which I'm sure you can picture this, is Kim Mole. Congratulations, Kim. The icing on her cake was so hard that it couldn't be cut. So whilst everyone was there partying and dancing, she was there with a chisel trying to cut it. So,
What is it with the cakes tonight?
can you imagine that?
You needed
Picture it now,
Gwen's
can't you?
sword.
So, yeah. Anyway, Kim, if you want to drop us an email, swallow them. JamieRogersCrafts@hotmail.com. Let us know if you want your cards signing by our dear man Jamie, or even I can scribble on them. No one needs that. Anyway, congratulations, Kim. I'll hand you over to the boss. Thank you for joining us.
Are you finished?
I'll finish.
We're gone.
It's a good night from me.
Good night for me. One last thing before I forget, because Tracy will tell me off. Don't forget we've got our competition going on at the moment. There is an amazing competition where you could win a £75 worth of goodies in a goodie bag from Creative Expressions. All you have to do is enter a card you've created on our wonderful group, which is the Creative Expressions official group, and use hashtag January. It's very important. Hashtag January is on your entry, and a brief description of what you have used to create it, just so we know as a viewer, as a participant, what's been used and how it's been done, if you don't mind terribly. It doesn't have to be War and Peace, just a little bit of a glimpse into what you've actually been using. Makes our life a lot easier, and it especially helps inspire people who are possibly a bit newer to our group or newer to craft. I sometimes think we forget this, but our group has got literally thousands and thousands of people in it, and of course, just like we said earlier, people have busy lives. They don't know of every product that we bring out or every product that we use, and it just can sometimes really help people who possibly are a bit shy to ask, what is that dye and what is that? So I'm not asking for product codes and SKU codes and all of that lot, but if you don't mind just giving a little glimpse as to what you've been using, that would really make our life easier and help a lot of the people in the group know what's been going on to create your amazing creations. So just to clarify, competition is open till the 31st of January. You could win a £75 goodie bag worth of Creative Expressions goodies, and all you need to create is a creation, maybe it's a card, scrapbook page, whatever it may be, using Jamie Rogers Crafts products. Every month we will be shining a spotlight on a different brand or designer or part of our company, and it's your chance to really shine and share with us what you've been creating with it. So anything that carries the Jamie Rogers Crafts name on it, whether that be our glitters, our texture pastes, our waxes, our enchanted sprinkles, or of course some of our dyes, our cardstock, whatever it may be, stencils, the list goes on and on and on, then of course that would qualify to enter into that competition. So hashtag January, Jamie Rogers Crafts items, little description of what you've used, pop it on the group before the 31st of January, and you could be chosen to win a £75 gift bag full of Creative Expressions goodies. I know we've often confessed this, but our competitions genuinely are, to me and Pete and all of the team, one of our favourite things about what we get to do and bring to you. But it only works if you all enter. So if you're on the fence, if you're shy, if you're nervous, please do give it a go and share with us. Our groups are lovely. They will be supportive, they will be welcoming, and it is always nice to see new people or people who possibly lurk in the shadows a little bit share with us what they've been creating. So if you're on the fence, please don't be. And if you're out there and sharing with us already, there is no limit to how many you can share. The more times you share, the more entries you're going to have popped into the draw to win the goodie bag. So whether that's 1 entry or 1,000, the choice is yours. Just hashtag January, Jamie Rogers Crafts items, and make sure they're in with a description by the 31st of January. If you want to know more about that, head back to that event section I keep going on about, because there is again a little event for the competition, like there will be for every month that we do one. So you've got a landing point to go and find out more about it each time I waffle on about it and get the world confused. Okay, from me, good night.
And good night from me.
Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next Monday. Don't forget to see Gwen here right on this page, Thursday, 7 p.m. Bye for now.
Bye, guys. Bye.